Hello and welcome back to another video. Today here again on Gran Turismo 7 for our third car review here on the game of one of the new vehicles that's been added over the previous games. So something a little bit different, because you might remember recently we did a review of the Ferrari F8 Tributo and the AMG GT Black series, so we're kind of stepping it down a bit in terms of pace for something a bit bigger and slower. The big Genesis G70 3.3 turbo all-wheel drive P package, to give it its full name. And yeah, we're looking at this because it's interesting and different. It's a high-performance luxury saloon that's often overlooked, because mostly people go straight to the big German cars. So yeah, it's kind of forgotten about. It isn't in any other games, and it's the sort of unusual choice. This being the 2022 Genesis, so to steal Top Gear's joke, that means the front will leave at some point and Phil Collins will replace it. But anyway, it's a Korean luxury car brand, Genesis. You might remember the Hyundai Genesis a few years ago. That's kind of where the name came from, because it is now, of course, the luxury sub-brand of Hyundai. And the company seems to be somehow linked to Kia as well. Of course, another Korean car brand, but this is basically underneath the same as the Kia Stinger, apparently, which was a very well-reviewed car when it came out and drives, well, nicely in any games I've driven it in, so it'll be interesting to see how it compares to that. Obviously, this is a heavier luxury saloon car rather than a sort of more, slightly smaller sports saloon that the Stinger is. But yeah, it has a 3.3-litre V6 producing 366 horsepower, weighs 1,815 kilos, has all-wheel drive, and puts it at a performance points of 502.69 here in Gran Turismo 7, and costs 56,500 credits, which, considering how expensive some cars are in this game, and how hard money is to come by, that's not really too bad. And if we quickly come over here to the Genesis showroom in the main dealership, we'll find there's in fact a Group 4 version, which I'll definitely be getting my hands on at some point. I have technically got enough money for it, but I want to keep some credits spare. But yeah, I think that's just really, really cool. And then, if you think that's cool, there's also this Genesis X Group 3 car, which is, well, I mean, look at it. It's like an insane concept car that's been GT3ified. It's just completely mad. Anyway, we should probably hop back into the normal G70 and see what it's like. So here we are at the usual deep forest for our first drive of the Genesis, which I will be, of course, lapping it round later to see how it compares to, well, the Ferrari and the Mercedes that are going to be a lot faster. But yeah, driving it for the first time. I would say I've been waiting for this moment for all of my life, but we didn't expect Genesis to be coming to the game until, well, we didn't know until it launched and there were leaks of it. It wasn't kind of pre-announced. And yes, I'm sorry, I'll stop with the slightly inaccurate musical references. It has to be done with the Genesis. Anyway, feels sort of smooth and fast in the straights. You did see it sort of understeer a lot into that other corner, but that's what happens if we give it a bit more grips, actually. I mean, it is four-wheel drive, of course, so you'd kind of expect that. There's a bit of understeer and body roll, which, again, for a car of this weight, you'd probably expect that. Not too bad at all, actually. It's a lot friendlier to drive than the Mercedes or the Ferrari. But yeah, not too bad at all, actually, considering the size and weight of the thing. Interior is not a bad place to be. I mean, it's got some nice red stitching, which matches the exterior colour I've gone for. But yeah, I think we can get a lot out of this, actually. I think I'll get this closer to its potential than I did with the Ferrari and the Merc, just because it's so kind of comfortable to drive. And with the all-wheel drive, there's no risk of it, well, kicking the back out, really. It is nice and stable, nice and planted. Which means it's probably time I took it for, well, the usual 5 laps that I give cars around the circuit to see what the best time it can set is and how close it is to, well, the few pretty much supercars that I've taken round so far. So, as with the 2 previous cars here on Gran Turismo 7, I've given the Genesis 5 laps around Deep Forest to see what the best time it can set is, and that's the lap I'm showing you here. So it will be interesting to see at the end of this lap how close we've got to the Ferrari and the Mercedes that I've taken round previously. I was struggling getting it stopped into that first corner. I always found the sort of suggested gear indicator came up a bit too late. We did run out onto the grass a little bit there, so if anything it understeers a bit, but there's so much grip and it inspires so much confidence, this car, unlike the previous rear-wheel drive supercars. The grip in this thing was amazing, taking slightly my own line across there. But yeah, it was really, really nice to drive, so I'm expecting a good time from this. It just drove so nicely, and you could just throw it around the corners with all of that all-wheel drive grip, a reasonable amount of power, and there was places I could have gained a lot of time. I kept gaining a lot of time into the final corner in the braking zone, so if I'd done a good lap and got that corner right, all in one, I think we would have set an even faster time. So I was setting consistent 53s, then I started setting a couple of 49s, which was one of my fastest. But yeah, it really, really was surprisingly nice to drive for a big, heavy saloon like this. But yeah, you could feel its weight. There was a bit of understeer, and yeah, this corner I kept getting wrong. So on the times I did get it right, it was on slower laps, but I gained so much time. You just have to get it so turned in to begin with, so that you can then run out and carry some speed on the exit. This bit's always fun. You're kind of flying down here onto the main straight. Most cars you can take it flat. I think in one of the cars previously I did have to lift as we come round onto the straight and across the line. So we do have a rather convenient in-game leaderboard on Gran Turismo 7, which I'm going to go on about every single time I review a car on here, because it's very irritating in Forza having to go and make your own leaderboard outside of the game. But anyway, rather unsurprisingly, a big Super Saloon is more than 10 seconds slower than, well, the GT3 RS even, and the Black Series as well, and yeah, even more difference between it and the Ferrari, as you might expect. But yeah, that kind of speed for a car that heavy is pretty good going, I think. It will be interesting to see what happens if we take round more cars at this sort of performance point level, because the Ferraris and Mercedes are, of course, well, quite a bit higher. I think they're 600 or 700 and something points, so yeah, kind of unsurprising that it's a little way off all of those, and yeah, there's not really anything to compare it against yet, but it will be interesting, like I say, to see how similar performance point cars do in the future. But I think now it's time to go and modify the Genesis, see what options are available, and then come back and see how much faster we can go. So I've begun to be rather unsurprised when there's a wide body in this game. Everything seems to have it, and it looks slightly nicer than it did back on the Ferrari, so I think despite it being 25,000 credits for that, I will do it. So here we are in the customization part of GT Auto, which for some reason I'm always surprised by this. Wide bodies are in car maintenance, not in customization. Anyway, wheels I will probably keep the same, but we have got some aero-y parts, which are possibly not really necessary, because it's already super grippy, but they just make it look that bit more sporty, I guess. We've also got wings, but again, since it's all-wheel drive, is there really much point? I mean, you can put on a... Wow. That is impressive, and you can go mad and put the full-time attack style wing on it. I think for once I'm going to go with more simple end plates. It needs to be reasonable sized, I think, to go with that wing. I might have to go with those ones. So, now that we've done that, I am going to quickly see if there are any Hyundai or Genesis paint colours that I want to use here. Not brown. Most of them are quite boring. Why is there a James Bond colour and why is there a Ford Capri blue under Genesis? Yes, not the most exciting. I think we've probably got the nicest. What about Hyundai, or are they going to be all exactly the same? Tsukuba red, interesting. Devil Fury. Yeah, I don't think any of these are particularly inspiring, so I might just go and see what I've already bought that I have in the collection. So there is, of course, full carbon fibre, which looks stupid, particularly on this car. There's that. I feel like this is kind of too big for a colour that metallic, or that fluorescent I should say. That's nice, but it's kind of the same as what we have. That is, well, very tempting. It's amazing how much you can see the flakes on this game, actually. Look at that, and that's on PS4 graphics. Okay, so that's an option. We've got Ferrari yellows and things, but I've used yellow on both previous cars I've reviewed, so let's not do that. We've got 787B colour. Again, not really working on this. That is a lovely colour, but again, I'm not sure it works on here. Got some nice Subaru colours. We've always got Reflex Purple from TVR, which is, well, stunning. I'm not sure it works on here, though. And we've got, well, Midnight Purple and Deep Purple, which also look quite good on here, but I think I'm going to have to go for that green. We do, of course, need to change the wing so that it's... Oh, wow. Yes, that's not what I was thinking. I was thinking more black for the wing. Maybe the same for the mirrors. Yes. So, as you can see, based on the performance points, I've gone a bit mad and built it, well, also to 700, like we did with the Merc and the Ferrari, so at least we can compare it to those. I actually built it up to 715 or 720 and had to limit the power down to about 94%, I think, to bring it down just below 700. It is actually slightly higher than the Ferrari or the Merc, but yeah, I've ended up with it the same class as those. So I did realise I do actually need to do something about the wheels so that we can bring them out and make them fill the arches properly, because they're kind of, yeah, not filling those wide body arches quite yet. I usually end up going with the BBS wheels, but I'm not sure that works particularly on this. I think something like that might be nicer. Yeah, I do quite like those. Do we want to make them any bigger? No, I feel like they look best as 19s. We will bring that out and that out, though. There we go. Now it sits a little bit better, at least. I've found it. It's sitting here under other. So we can, well, if we want to. And it's a shame we can't change the accents inside, because something like these bright green ones, or these bright green ones actually, would look quite cool out here if, well, they matched anything. So yeah, not sure. They call that yellow as well for some reason, even though it's clearly, what's that? Orange. Well, it's orange, yellow, and, right, anyway. Just for the sake of changing them, I think we should go with those for now. But yeah, red would work better really, because we've still got all the red accents in the interior. Anyway, I know where that is now, so that if I've bought some new, better brakes, I can now paint them many colours. So, as with the unmodified version of the car, it was given another 5 laps around Deep Forest to see how fast it could go. It didn't feel that fast going down the straight as it looked there, but yeah, it is quite mad, this thing. But has infinite grip, with the all-wheel drive obviously still being there. So I think it probably was quite a good lap time in the end. As with its stock, it was just so confidence inspiring, this car, despite, well, what I did to it. I did slightly brush the wall there on the fastest lap, but I have to say that green looks really good out in the sunlight as well. But yeah, it was just incredibly fast, and under braking, I don't know if you'll hear it in the replay, but the noise from the exhaust, I think mostly the anti-lag system, was making just stupid crackling noises as I was shifting down and braking hard at the end of straights and things. But yeah, those brakes were incredible as well. Didn't quite have the carbon ceramics, but even the racing brakes are incredible. So yeah, it felt fast, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's topped the board, beating the Ferrari and the Mercedes. That's kind of it. It felt at least as fast as them, if not faster, but also easier to drive, so I was consistently going quickly. So I feel like I got closer to the car's full potential than I did with either of those. But I haven't actually looked at the times yet, so this is going to be a complete surprise for me when I look at the leaderboard in a minute as we go across the line. So, there we go. As we see on the leaderboard here, it's, well, more than 5 seconds faster than the Ferrari. I have just noticed the performance points seem to be saying it's 702.74 now, which it definitely wasn't when I was looking at it in the garage, so I've kind of slightly cheated by mistake, but it's only 2 performance points, it shouldn't make that much difference. Also, this ranking board system's broken because, well, it's showing in the 600 performance point category, where everything else is showing in the 700, even the non-upgraded ones which weren't at 700. So I'm not quite sure why this is there, because we've obviously got the standard version there. This system's quite broken anyway, because the Porsche was over 700, so that should really be in that category. So, yeah, they need to fix these, but luckily we've got the overall one, so we can just ignore that. But yeah, I'm not sure how the performance points crept back up to 702 again, because I was quite careful at making sure it was 699 in the garage a minute ago. Anyway, it's not a huge performance point difference, and it's still, well, ridiculously fast. I feel like these two could have gone faster. Like I said, this gave me more confidence, so I think I was getting closer to its full potential. So I think with a better driver, all three would be closer, but that's kind of part of the challenge here, is building a car that is not undrivable, or not difficult to drive, like the Ferrari and Mercedes were, so I'll definitely be using the Genesis if we need to do any, well, 700 performance point restricted racing, if I sort the performance points out and get them back below 700 again. I did just get a 2-star roulette ticket for that, because we completed the daily workout, so I will just spin that while we're here, before we go back to the garage. Credits are always useful in this game, although I'm thinking that's not loads, but it's some back for what we've spent today. So, yes, the Genesis was surprisingly good. Going into this, I didn't think it would be that fast, or something this heavy. I'd kind of forgotten it was all-wheel drive, although I think maybe with the rear-wheel drive cars I need to put a small bit of traction on, because I feel like I'm losing more time kicking the back out than I am anything else, because this just kept traction, and I think that's kind of why it's so fast. But then the car being drivable is a bit of an advantage in itself. But yeah, it is a bit of an oddball car, a bit of a strange one for them to have added, a bit of a strange one for me to take a look at, but I do like this sort of thing, something a bit different to your normal German super saloons, in the form of the Genesis here. But yeah, I wouldn't have believed it was going to be that fast, but that I was there and I saw what it did. I saw it with my own 2 eyes, so yeah, it was, well, unexpected to be that good. And it had some mad customization with that swan neck spoiler, and, well, we've finally done brake caliper customization. I kind of wish you could match the interior stitching to that. That's something games never really do, interior customization. But yeah, I did rather enjoy driving the Genesis, and despite cheating slightly on the performance points, it's faster than a Ferrari or an AMG GT Black Series when modified. Mostly down to its drivability, but yeah, if we do ever do some online racing and stuff on here, I'll potentially give this a go if performance points like that is how it's split up. I'm not quite sure how the system works. But yeah, pretty good. First car that I've gone really insane with upgrades on as well. But yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy this review style video on a bit of a random car. Hopefully you guys are interested enough in the Genesis to have enjoyed this one. So yeah, do let me know if you're enjoying these, and if you haven't already seen the videos on the Ferrari and the Mercedes, those went up similar time last week, but do let me know if there's any cars in particular you'd like me to take a look at, because I've got, well, a list of plenty of new things that have been added to this game to take a look at, as well as a few returning from older Gran Turismo games. So yeah, let me know if you're enjoying these review style videos, because there are plenty more coming in the future. But for now, that is going to be all for a first look at the Genesis G70 something or other performance package all-wheel drive V6 turbo Genesis here on Gran Turismo 7. But yeah, that's going to do it for the first look at this car. So thank you very much for watching, and I will be back with the next video very soon.
you